Okay, so here is the third and last part of our session on science writing part one, focused on clear and analytical writing. So in this third and last session, we're going to look at analytical writing. What is it and how is it different from just summary and summarizing information? So let's look at an example of summary. A study of the needle exchange program in Vancouver, Canada illustrates that needle exchange programs alone do not reduce HIV infection rates. And there comes the quote of the article. The authors suggest that needle exchange programs are most effective when combined with other elements, for example, counseling and educational programs. And there might be another couple of sentences more about the study and how the results were achieved, depending on the level of detail the author wants and needs to provide. I often see paragraphs like this, maybe a little longer or of this length, in writers, in some of the writing I work with when I work with writers, especially novice writers, either beginning undergraduate but also beginning graduate students. And the problem with just having summary is that as a reader, I'm not really quite sure what I'm supposed to do with this information. It's great that you summarized it for me, right? But what's the point? So the why and the how this is important to your particular research question and argument is what needs to be framing the summary. So you can think of analysis as framing statements around summative statements or summaries. And the handout we provided for you this week called Analyzing Information. It's predominantly written to support you in being more critical readers, but it also works really well on using the same kind of questions, the same kind of advice to when you're reviewing your writing. Is your writing actually analytical or just summary, right? You kind of want to ask those how and why questions in your own writing, in your own paragraphs, to make sure that each paragraph makes an analytical statement, as I like to call it. So let's look at a revision of this summary. So this is much more analytical. Data on needle exchange programs suggests that such programs can lead to a decrease in HIV infection rates in urban areas. However, these programs lead to even greater success when combined with additional programming. And I'm going to stop right here. You notice there's no citation here, and that's okay because this is what we call a topic sentence, and we'll talk more about those in a later module. But it's a topic introductory sentence, if you will, that introduces the topic of this paragraph and also connects it to the previous paragraph. So based on the sentence, I can safely assume that the previous paragraphs in this paper had to do with discussing different data on needle exchange programs and showing how these can lead to a decrease in HIV infection rates, right? Because remember, that's the question, the research area I'm exploring in this research review essay. If I were writing it about the effectiveness on HIV needle programs, needle exchange programs on the reduction of HIV rates. And this seems to be a focus about urban areas, so I probably focus this even more in this paper. So again, very general sentence, an analytical transitional statement that connects the information that comes now, namely the summary of a particular study that either confirms this opinion or this confirms this idea or rejects it or provides contrary evidence to the contrary. So again, data on needle exchange programs suggest so and so on. However, these programs lead to even greater success when combined with additional programming. So the new idea has to do with, hey, it's even better when these needle exchange programs have some other programming attached to it. And here comes the summary. For example, it's always a great transition into providing then your summary of a research article, of a piece of literature that you're using to support your point. For example, a needle exchange program in Vancouver, Canada was unable to reduce the HIV infection rates among injecting drug users. The authors suggest that needle exchange programs are most effective when combined with other elements, for example, counseling and educational programs. A more recent study reports impressive success rates of needle exchange programs when offered alongside counseling programs. And so you realize, I hope you're realizing that by adding more to this just summary, by having an analytical statement at the beginning that connects it to your overall argument, and really telling your reader why this information about this Vancouver program is important. What's the context of you bringing this up? That's the key to a successful research-based essay, research-based writing in general. It's that emphasis on analysis, on how you're knowing as the reader why you as the writer are presenting this information to me and helping me to sift through all the summaries you're presenting to me and that I need, but I need to know why.